One nuclear weapon.
Hello and welcome to the program Global Update. This is the program where we keep you abreast with developments from around the globe. In this episode, we'll be looking at BRICS countries comprising of Brazil, Russia, India, China, and South Africa, as they have engaged for a while in the de-dollarization of the US dollar. But the question here is it only a temporary change? Is it a broader paradigm shift in the global finance? Or could it be the growing tensions with the United States by Russia and China? This we hope to know more as time goes on, though some clearer perspective will be made possible as we proceed in the program in an exclusive interview with the Indian High Commissioner to Nigeria. So I will urge you to stay glued to your television set for this and more developments on the global scene. I am Patricia A. Samiluba, your host on this episode. Come along with me as we cruise round the globe to navigate the course for our discussion on the program Global Update. The US dollar's supremacy and US global leadership have been increasingly questioned for some time now, and it has raised concerns about the position in the global financial system. This crisis has created an opportunity for rising powers to seek greater status in global governance. In 2009, the then Russian president hosted the first BRIC, which comprises of Brazil, Russia, India, and China, to explore how to overcome the crisis and establish a fairer international system, as well as to discuss the parameters for a new financial system. However, South Africa joined the BRICS countries in 2010, transforming BRICS into BRICS. As such, the 5 member countries have achieved policy coordination in over 70 issues areas as recorded. The US dollar is the dominant currency in the global financial and monetary system, which affects various aspects of global affairs. So, analyzing BRICS as a de-dollarization coalition and how it could mobilize other actors will contribute new and needed insights to the scholarship on rising powers and their impact on US global leadership. Now, the emerging BRICS de-dollarization infrastructure does not yet allow the BRICS members to make a complete break from the existing US dollar-based financial system. BRICS de-dollarization initiatives are predominantly happening at the sub-BRICS level and have not achieved the necessary economies of scale to de-dollarize the existing global financial system. To discuss further on what this entails and the aim for the BRICS nation in regards to the de-dollarization of the US dollar is the Indian High Commissioner to Nigeria, G. Balasubramanian.
There is no question of de-dollarization. It is not a work towards that particular thing. It is not that kind of work that is happening. Today, Indian currency, Indian RuPay account, Indian UPI has been accepted in 18 different countries. They have just been signed recently. And many countries, if you go to Singapore, if you go to Dubai, you would be able to use the RuPay card freely over there. So it is convertible in terms of platforms. The platforms are used jointly. So that would certainly ease movement of people and their expenditure instead of changing into different currencies at every point of time, the loss in exchange and so on and so forth. This would certainly ease. We already have started it with about 18 countries. The fintech issues are the ones which are going to rule the world in the future. And India certainly is becoming stronger in fintech. If I have to tell you an example, just in the month of April 2023, last month, the total transactions under the UPI scheme, the Unified Payment Interface scheme of Government of India, the NPCI, which has brought it in, has seen 8.9 billion transactions just in the month of April alone in India. And now that particular UPI is being accepted in 18 different countries. So it would certainly be a force multiplier and will certainly help people who are traveling and people who are using it for trade and commercial purposes.
What then does this mean for the dominance of the US dollar and the global economy?
It is general wisdom that trading in local currencies, like India trading in rupee, Nigeria trading in naira, Brazil trading in its own currency with another country which accepts that particular currency, is a factor which will certainly help in the growth of trade and economic relationship between the two countries, whichever two countries which get involved in the currencies of their own nation, their national currencies. So obviously the national currencies perhaps we'll have to start looking at it, how it will ease on those things, because there may be some situation wherein it is easier to deal in national currencies than in the international currency. So this is a process which can be certainly looked at positively, and we are sure that this will help in terms of increasing the economic cooperation between countries bilaterally.
There are two major constraints that prevent BRICS from forming a unitary de-dollarization coalition. First, some BRIC members have a closer relationship with the United States than with fellow BRICS members. This is evident in the case of India and its relationships with the United States and that of China.
Foreign policy will have to be standing on its own in terms of, it is not a plus minus relationship. My relationship, it has to be independent with each country. My relationship with Nigeria should not and will not affect my relationship with Kenya. Similarly, my relationship with United States stands on its own legs. So I do not see any contradiction in terms of India having friendly relationship with all the countries.
In a way, can it be said that the member nations are trying to reduce their dependency on the US dollar, but at the same time not ready to be separated from the US-led global financial system?
To solve this particular issue, because both India and Indian rupee and the Nigerian naira are not fully convertible. So to solve this rupee, we are trying to work out a situation between the two countries for a currency swap agreement. And if these fintech platforms can also be onboarded into, say, your NIBSS platform, which offers these fintech solutions, and it would certainly ease the purpose and the delay that you found in converting those things, it would certainly be done away with if we can onboard these platforms and have joint work on these particular issues. UPI of India, RuPay of India, and their similar sisters or brothers platforms in Nigeria. If we can come across this, we have already offered the currency swap agreement with Nigeria, and we are working towards that. And in future, we would also be looking at the possibility of bringing in UPI and RuPay to ease the travel issues of Nigerians and Indians.
And that has been the Indian High Commissioner to Nigeria, G. Balasubramanian, talking about the journey so far by BRICS countries. Let's take a break and be back in a moment to continue with our next segment. Don't go yet. Glad to know you are still with me. And in the course of the week under review, the Nigerian Ministry of Foreign Affairs launched some legacy projects where it is expected that its nationals abroad can take advantage of the sites to relay possible challenges and assistance needed, as well as business collaborations with foreign counterparts while in diaspora. This is said will be through the deployment of 3 transformational digital tools which they can access via online platforms. Let's hear the report from our foreign desk correspondent, Abdul Salam Jibril.
Before, Sudan was very calm and cool. It was after this war, Sudan became something else.
Recent conflicts in Ukraine and Sudan have beamed the spotlight on the challenges Nigerians residing in such countries face. Towards finding solutions to ease their plight and expose foreign businesses to local MSMEs, the Nigerian Global Citizen Help Desk, the Nigerian Global Business Match, and the Unified Online Presence Portal have been launched.
A Nigerian anywhere in the world can call a number in whichever country they are and will get switchboard people on the line that will address their issues, and we're giving within 24, 48 hours for a response to whether it's information or whether it's assistance that will be required. And there's no better way to try to support and guarantee the security of your citizens all around the world. And we're going to, again, launch that today and cut the tape. The buildings are already there.
It is a real-time online one-stop shop where foreign businesses seeking to do business in Nigeria can transparently conduct end-to-end transactions with Nigerian registered and verified businesses. As we all know, I think this initiative will give comfort to foreign businesses who want to do business with Nigerian businesses. This initiative is one that must be commended, and I would like to state that my ministry, the Ministry of Industry, Trade and Investment, is committed to the sustained success of the initiative. And I would also like to assure you that we will continue to collaborate with the Ministry of Foreign Affairs and will lend our expertise, especially in the areas of trade, investment, and trade dispute resolution.
I want to encourage Nigerians, particularly those in the diaspora, to take advantage of this center, to reach out and seek help in case of emergencies. And I'm sure from what we have seen here today, they will get the support that they need. I want to, on a final note, applaud the Ministry of Foreign Affairs for this great initiative and believe that this center will spell a new dawn in fostering a responsive and consensuous approach to engaging with citizens abroad.
It is expected that these digital initiatives will provide seamless services and succor to Nigerians abroad, as well as help local businesses partner with foreign counterparts to explore more business opportunities.
Thank you, Abdul Salam, for that report. Good venture for the welfare of citizens abroad. Up next is the highlight of news that made their rounds on the global scene.
Flooding and landslides brought by torrential rains in the Eastern Democratic Republic of Congo (DRC) have killed at least 438 villagers. According to the latest official report, the bodies of the victims have been mostly found in Bushushu and Yamukumbi, 2 villages in South Kivu province hard hit by flooding caused by heavy rains. The number of the missing remains unknown. Since last week, heavy rains have been reported in these parts of the country where landslides regularly claim the lives of residents during rainy periods. According to the United Nations, nearly 3,000 houses were affected, of which around 1,200 were completely destroyed. Local authorities estimate that more than 5,000 people remain missing. Survivors said the flood and landslides have caused great damage and are worried that the humanitarian assistance may not be enough to support them through the hard time. The foreign ministers from the 22 Arab League member states met on Wednesday in the Saudi city of Jeddah ahead of the annual Arab League summit to discuss a broad range of issues. The meeting was also attended by Syrian Foreign Minister Faisal Mekdad, marking the first attendance of its kind since the onset of the Syrian crisis. Saudi Arabia, which took over the rotating presidency of the summit from Algeria, hosted the meeting and will also host the summit on Friday that gathers Arab leaders to discuss regional and international issues. During the meeting, Saudi Foreign Minister Faisal bin Farhan Al Saud recognized the positive significance of Syria's attendance and highlighted the need for unity among Arab countries to overcome challenges. The ongoing conflict in Sudan, the readmission of Syria to the Arab bloc, and the Israeli-Palestinian conflict tops the agenda of the meeting and the upcoming summit. At least 676 people have been killed due to the clashes between the Sudanese army and the Rapid Support Forces RSF, according to a report of the United Nations Office for the Coordination of Humanitarian Affairs. Clashes between the Sudan Armed Forces and the Rapid Support Forces have continued for 30 consecutive days, especially in and around Khartoum, killing at least 676 people and injuring 5,576. According to the report, over 936,000 people have been newly displaced by the conflict since April 15, including 736,200 internally displaced, and 200,000 have taken refuge in neighboring countries. Since the clashes broke out in mid-April, residents of the Sudanese capital Khartoum have been suffering from severe food shortages, especially after dozens of factories were looted and burned. According to the United Nations, it is estimated that about 15.8 million Sudanese, or about one-third of Sudan's population, will need humanitarian aid in 2023, and the figure is likely to increase as a result of the war. President Recep Tayyip Erdogan is edging ahead of his secular rival, but failing to secure a first-round win. Erdogan sounded triumphant as he emerged before a sea of supporters shortly after midnight to proclaim himself ready to lead the nation for another 5 years. Almost complete result from Turkey's most important election of its post-Ottoman era showed Erdogan in power since 2003 and undefeated in more than a dozen national votes, falling just short of the 50% threshold needed to win. He also claimed his Islamic ruling party and its ultra-nationalist allies had captured a clear majority in parliament. Opposition leader Kemal Kılıçdaroğlu was trailing with 45%, a disappointing outcome after late pre-election polls had shown him in the lead. Turkey's first presidential runoff in the mostly Muslim but officially secular state's 100-year history is planned for May 28.
South African President Cyril Ramaphosa has announced that 6 African leaders are planning to travel to Ukraine and Russia to help find a solution to the war. Ramaphosa added that Russian President Vladimir Putin and Ukrainian leader Zelensky had agreed to receive the African Peace Mission in their respective capitals. The initiative was drawn up by Zambia, Senegal, the Republic of Congo, Uganda, Egypt, and South Africa. The announcement came a day after Ramaphosa said South Africa had been under extraordinary pressure to pick sides in the conflict, following accusations from the United States that Pretoria supplied weapons to Moscow, a move that would break with its professed neutrality.
We've been able to have these discussions. Principal to our discussions are efforts to a peaceful resolution to the devastating conflict in Ukraine, its cost on human lives, and the impact on the African continent.
Now, elsewhere, the death toll from the Shakahola massacre in the forest in southeastern Kenya, where a sect whose leader advocated fasting to meet Jesus was meeting, has now risen to 201 after the discovery of 22 new bodies. Police believe that most of the bodies discovered near the coastal town of Malindi are those of followers of the sect of Paul Ntenge Mackenzie, a former cab driver, self-acclaimed pastor of the Good News International Church that he created. The area prefect, Rhoda Onyancha, said 26 people have been arrested so far, including Paul Ntenge Mackenzie and a gang of goons responsible for making sure no followers broke the fast or escaped from the forest. Paul Mackenzie had surrendered to the authorities on April 14 after the police discovered the first victim in the Shakahola forest. About 50 mass graves have been discovered since then. Autopsies of the first bodies indicate that most of the victims died of starvation, most likely after following the preaching of Paul Ntenge Mackenzie. Japan is hosting the G7 summit in Hiroshima, the hometown of Prime Minister Fumio Kishida, from May 19 to 21, welcoming leaders from Canada, France, Germany, Italy, the United Kingdom, and the United States. The European Union is also a non-enumerated member. The event began on Friday morning with Kishida welcoming the visiting leaders and officials at the Hiroshima Peace Memorial Park, where they laid wreath for thousands of people who were killed when the United States dropped an atomic bomb on the city in 1945. Now, elsewhere, Russia has said African leaders would visit Moscow next month or early July under a peace initiative for the Ukraine conflict announced by South African President Cyril Ramaphosa. Ramaphosa said the Russian President Vladimir Putin and Ukrainian President Volodymyr Zelensky had each agreed to receive the 6-member mission, which will visit Moscow and Kiev. Russian Foreign Minister Sergei Lavrov said this at the press conference with Jeje Odongo, his counterpart from Uganda, one of the countries taking part in the initiative. Other members of the delegation unveiled by Ramaphosa are the presidents of the Republic of Congo, Egypt, Senegal, South Africa, and Zambia.
And that's it on this episode of the program Global Update this week. Join me again sometime next week for more informative and enlightening stories on the global scene. I remain Patricia A. Samiluba saying thank you, and I leave you with these words of encouragement. Let us master the act of contentment, as it doesn't cancel desires, but it cancels desperation.